Content creators, whether creating content for YouTube, podcasts, blogs, books, or any one of the other countless platforms, usually overlook three mind-boggling easy ways to earn more money from the content they create. By taking advantage of the three simple tactics I'm going to discuss, any content creator can double or even triple their income without spending much time or expending much effort. I can't believe how few people, even some recognized experts, ignore the last tactic. How many of these approaches do you take advantage of? Approach number one, how to take advantage of evergreen content. Evergreen content is exactly what it sounds like. Content that lasts forever. Well, maybe not forever, but a long, long time. Now you may say, well, all content lasts forever, and you're right. So let me refine that definition. Evergreen content is content that the audience will find useful and relevant for a long period of time. That's why certain YouTube videos are still getting thousands of views, if not more, each and every day, 10 years after they were created. To be even more precise, and to give you a few examples, so you could create some of this continually earning content for yourself, let's take a little deeper dive into the issue. It is content that remains useful for the audience long after it was created, regardless how the rest of the world, if you will, has changed. Here are some examples that I have created that fall under the headline of evergreen and continue to get views day after day. How to play Wordle. Accounts payable basics. What is the statement of cash flow? Debits and credits. What's the difference? Accounts payable tutorial for beginners. Wait a minute, you say. Didn't you mention that last one twice? Not exactly. While both those videos cover the same material, one is 17 minutes long and the other is almost an hour. For a long time after the success of my accounts payable tutorial for beginners, I shied away from making anything remotely similar because I didn't want to compete with myself. Big mistake. When you have something that resonates with your audience, create related content and/or the same content in a slightly different format as quickly as you can. While will it cannibalize on that initial piece of content? Maybe, but net, you'll have more views, which will ultimately lead to more income. My first accounts payable basics video was getting 150 to 200 views a day when I finally got some sense and created that second one. Today it only gets 75 to 150 views a day, but that second basics video I created gets 150 to 275 views a day, and both are increasing. So net, it was a gain. Now here are some basic guidelines you can use when setting up what you hope will be evergreen content. Of course, you never know exactly what's going to turn out to resonate with your audience, so sometimes you have to keep on trying. You'll think something is really important and they turn their nose up at it. Okay, so rule number one, if you will, pick some basic topics, questions that you might even think are too basic. If you ever start to think, oh, everybody knows that, nobody would want a video on that, consider this. I once watched a video on how to boil water in an Instant Pot and I couldn't figure out how to get mine to work. And that video had hundreds of thousands of views. And another longer one, which I did not watch because I figured I could learn how to boil water in 4 minutes. I didn't need 15 minutes, had over 1 million views. You can also answer a very specific question. This will get views if enough people are searching for it. Rule number two, don't get fancy with the title. Make sure you have the keywords in the title that spell out exactly what it is, like how to play Wordle. The experts will tell you to spark curiosity with your title, and there is something to be said for that. But in this case, when you're going after evergreen content, and you're trying to attract attention from folks looking for a specific piece of information, make sure that they understand that your piece of content will give it to them. Don't leave them guessing. They may skip over your link in favor of one that gives them exactly what they are looking for, and it tells them that in the title. Rule number three, be patient. Sometimes it takes a while for your piece of content to take off. Sometimes it never does, to be honest. Sadly, there's no easy way to tell which will happen. I created a video entitled Cash Flow Statement for Beginners. For the first day, it got a whopping 42 views in the first 24 hours. And for the first week, it had 87 views, 140 in the first month. After that, it limped along for almost 400 days. Yes, 400 days. And then it took off. Why? the algorithm had finally identified the audience that this piece would appeal to. Does this give you any ideas for content you might want to create? Approach number 2, how to take advantage of trend jacking. Trend jacking is exactly what it sounds like, but to benefit from it, you have to be quick. Let me explain and then show you how you can take advantage of it, whether it is a plain vanilla trend jacking or what I like to call inadvertent trend jacking. What is trend jacking? It is the hijacking of a trend to boost your views and or consumption of the content you create. This content can be a YouTube video, a podcast, a blog posting, or whatever. It's when you take advantage of a hot trend or news item to get more views than you normally would. Usually, that viral boost will only last for a short period of time. But, and this is a big one, it will introduce your content to loads of people who normally would not see it. And hopefully, some of them will binge on your content and come back for more and maybe buy something from you. It's a way to introduce your content to those who might not otherwise see it. News outlets do this all the time by preparing obituaries of famous people so that they are ready to go almost immediately when they get news that that person has passed away. They don't call it trend jacking, but I think it is. Now let's look at some examples. Example number 1. Let's say you're an excellent chef and your specialty is creating dessert recipes that not only look gorgeous but taste better than anything on the market. Your content could be a blog, a podcast, or a YouTube channel. It doesn't really matter for the purposes of this talk. It will work the same. Now, let's say you really do have the world's best chocolate chip cookie recipe and techniques, but no one's ever heard of you. So when folks do a search for chocolate chip cookie recipes, your name doesn't show up, or if it does, you're fighting with Martha Stewart, Rachel Ray, and or Jamie Oliver for the click. And we all know who's going to win that battle. Sorry. Now, you also have a recipe for chocolate chip cookies with peas. You're the only one who has that gem, so you could definitely win the click on that one if anyone cared about a recipe for chocolate chip cookies with peas. Sadly, there are no searches for that recipe. Then, one day, a reality star goes on a talk show and reveals that she lost 20 pounds in 2 weeks eating, drumroll please, chocolate chip cookies with peas. And she adds that they are delicious. Now you know what happens next. All of a sudden, without you doing anything at all, your chocolate chip cookie with peas content takes off. What's more, after your readers or viewers consume your chocolate chip cookie with peas content, they look at some of your other content, including the world's best chocolate chip cookie recipe. Now, both of these pieces are getting views that you so rightly deserve. That's inadvertent trend jacking, and most of us are not that lucky. We have to consciously hijack a trend. So let me give you another example or two. And these are from, by the way, my real life. Example number 2. Do you remember when for 48 hours or so, quiet quitting was a hot issue? I read an article about it one morning and recognizing that it had potential, wrote a short piece incorporating how I had taken a similar approach earlier in my career, recorded what I had written, edited quickly, and uploaded it. For 4 days, it attracted a decent number of views, and then it died. But it did what I wanted it to do. It got me in front of people who normally didn't see the content, and it gave me an opportunity to incorporate a short bit on what I normally do talk about, i.e. a commercial. I got a few subscribers I wouldn't have had and made a few dollars. Would I do it again? Yes, if the opportunity presented itself. Which leads me to the next example, which may not seem as obvious to everyone at first glance. This will be our example number 3. When President Trump issued an executive order regarding government agencies not using paper checks to pay bills, you might not have been interested. But my accounts payable audience was, and I picked up quite a few new subscribers from that, and again, made a few dollars. Both of these had a short shelf life, but sometimes you get lucky. You want to learn more about growing your content creation business, especially about repurposing content across several different mediums. Hit the subscribe button. We're here to share everything that I've learned while writing 20 plus business books, creating over 700 videos, giving over 1,000 talks, both live and online, and writing over 10,000 articles and blog posts. Example number 4. I started playing a new word game in late 2021. You probably heard of Wordle. This was long before the New York Times bought it. I always try and do something for my subscribers and followers around the holidays, but it's difficult, and I couldn't come up with anything that year. So in January, it occurred to me that perhaps as a belated holiday gift, I could teach a few people how to play this new Wordle game. I made a short video on how to play Wordle and uploaded it. It was 7 minutes and 13 seconds long. I should have made it a minute longer, but that's another story for another time. Anyway, you can probably guess what happened next. It didn't perform much better than the rest of my videos for the first 4 days, and then it took off, and it is still going strong today. Let's see how you can incorporate this into growing your content views. So, how to make inadvertent trend jacking work for you. If you have an inadvertent success that has legs, as I did with Wordle, capitalize on it. As soon as you realize you have a winner, create related content and post them, spreading them out every day, 2, 3, or 4. Don't create 5 or 10 pieces and then post them all at once. They will compete with each other, but get related content out there as quickly as you can. It took me 4 days to realize that my first Wordle video was taking off, and it took 4 days for my first Wordle video to take off, and another 2 days before I realized it. Once I did, it took me another 2 days to get another video up there. Going back to that chocolate chip cookie example, if you had a recipe also, for example, say chocolate chip cookies with Brussels sprouts, get something written and recorded and upload it as quickly as you can. The fascination for cookies and vegetables is not likely to last forever, so you need to take advantage of it while you can. Let's talk about how to make regular trend tracking work for you. The trick here is to identify the trend and create the content as quickly as possible. Well, there will be others who will be doing the same thing, and you will have a serious advantage if you can be that first mover, especially if the trend dies a quick death, like interest in quiet quitting. Just in case you aren't reading between the lines, so to speak, this is definitely a time when perfection is the enemy to success, quote Winston Churchill. So don't spend too much time trying to make that piece of content perfect. You want to capitalize on your first mover advantage before the fast followers with their bigger budgets and bigger staffs show up with their more polished content. You have the distinct advantage of being able to identify these trends if you know your industry well. And that's how I was able to capitalize on that executive order news. And to be honest, that's the best way to identify trends. But if you can't, there's always Google Trends to give you a boost. Go to trends.google.com and see what's trending on the web and on YouTube if that's where you're posting your content. You can do some searches on the site. Now, to be fair, sometimes there just isn't a trend to capitalize on. In fact, more often than not, there won't be. That's when you have to rely on your skills and knowledge to keep your content creation business thriving. And we're here to help. How to take advantage of a few tweaks so your content can be shared across multiple very different platforms. And we're not talking about stuff like repurposing your YouTube shorts for TikTok or vice versa. Are you leaving money on the table because you don't realize how to take full advantage of the content you create? Many, but definitely not all, content creators focus on one type of content. They're comfortable making that type of content and they're good at it. They may write books, they may make YouTube videos, write blog posts, speak at conferences, or even create wildly successful TikTok, or one of the myriad of other types of content that we discuss on this channel. Stick around until the end when I explain how the worst part of limiting yourself to one type of content is that you are potentially endangering your entire content creation empire. Here's why I create multiple types of content and think you should as well. Reason number 1, the money factor. Now, some might say this is the most important factor, but not really, and the others are all impacted by it. It's hard to make a decent living from one type of content. Yes, there are superstars who earn millions from their books or their YouTube videos, but the lion's share of content creators do not fall under that umbrella. And if you look closely at some of the megastars on any platform, you'll quickly discover that they are elsewhere as well. Sure, Stephen King and J.K. Rowling's books have been turned into movies, and Mr. Beast has turned his YouTube empire onto Amazon Prime with a game show, among other things. And Tony Robbins, the popular motivational speaker, also shares his advice in numerous best-selling books. And you can do the same. Not quite at that level, but you can do the same. And as I said, this channel is all about how you can do that. Reason number 2, I call this one the lazy factor. Okay, there's probably a better name for it, like the efficiency factor, but you'll see what I mean as I discuss this a little further. A hidden benefit of sharing content over multiple formats is that you can reuse the same content with just a few tweaks. I often take my YouTube scripts and reformat that information into an article for my newsletter. Many of my newsletter articles also end up in my books. If the information is good and something you think your audience would want to hear or read about, you can simply rewrite what you originally created in far less time than it might take you to develop a new piece of content. And if I'm being entirely honest, this really comes in handy when you're on deadline and running out of time. Reason number 3, the total target audience factor. Let me explain. When you have different types of content, you'll have access to a much larger audience, and hence you'll make more money. When most people are looking for information, they usually turn to the medium that they are most comfortable with. So for some, it might be doing a Google search and looking for an article. There are people who like to read, and there are people who like to watch videos. I like to read and can read very quickly, so I almost always will do a quick internet search when I want to know how to do something. However, I realize I'm in the minority. Others are apt to turn to YouTube when looking for information or instructions. And sometimes, even when I read the instructions, it doesn't make sense. And so then I'll look at a YouTube video because I can actually see what's going on. So it will depend upon what the information is. Those looking to capture as large an audience as possible will make sure they share their content in both written and video/audio format. And a portion of your audience will consume the content you produce in multiple formats. At the end of the day, the larger your potential audience, the more likely you are to learn. And the more markets you're in, the larger your audience will be. And for those who have not yet dipped their toe into the video market, here's something else to consider. Do you know what the top streaming platform for TVs in the US is right now? It's not Netflix. In February 2025, YouTube surpassed Netflix US TV viewership. If you're not making content for that platform, you're missing out on a huge opportunity. If you're interested in starting or expanding a content creation business, or you just want to improve your content creation skill set, hit the subscribe button. We'll be back each week with additional insights, and I'll share what I've learned writing and publishing over 20 books and over 700 videos, and how I did it, along with insights from some of my most successful colleagues. And I've got quite a few, by the way. And now back to our story. Remember in the beginning when I said if you didn't create content over multiple categories, you might be endangering your entire empire? Well, here we are with reason number 4, the safety factor. Don't put all your content creation eggs in one content basket. This is Finance 101 advice that applies to content creators as well. If something happens to the market for the type of content you create, you're up the you-know-what creek without a paddle. When COVID hit, public speakers who relied on big conferences and other live settings were in big trouble as their income dried up overnight. Yes, they could pivot online to an online platform, but that takes time. Professional organizations who got the lion's share of their income from their annual live conference found themselves in a similar, very uncomfortable boat. And the change doesn't have to be this drastic or this unsettling. It could simply be that the market changes. When I started my content creation entrepreneurial journey, if you will, my main product, and by that I mean my main income producer, was a 16-page print newsletter. Today, that is a very minor part of my revenue stream, and as I'm sure you can guess, it's no longer print. It's a digital product. I don't have to print it, mail it, and all that. And now, reason number 5, the everything changes fact. Sharing content in multiple formats allows you to develop new skills. In fact, in many instances, you have to develop new skills in order to get your content out there. As I've already mentioned, I started with a print newsletter, I started with a print newsletter, which I also turned into books. You'll notice that these basically rely on the same set of skills, basically knowing how to write how-to stuff. But you're watching this on YouTube or possibly listening to it on a podcasting channel. The skills required for this are quite different, even though the information that I share is quite similar. In fact, sometimes it's exactly the same. And I had tons to learn when I started on the video journey, and I'm still learning. I knew nothing about filming, editing, lighting, scripting for films, which is a little something different from writing articles and books. And it's even, by the way, different than from giving talks at live conferences, although there are some similarities there. But I did, and in other videos, I'll share exactly how I did that, spending only a few dollars along the way. Mostly I used what I had and I bought headphones, and not really expensive ones because I managed to break them all the time. So I'm probably on my 4th or 5th headset. You can get them for $20 or $30 on Amazon. Of course, you can spend a lot more. That's another story for another time. I believe it is critical for any professional in almost any business, not just content creation, but especially if you want to be a successful content creator, that they keep developing new skills and adapting to new markets. To put it in perspective, let me share this. The first YouTube video was posted in 2005. It was a short one and it was called something like My Trip to the Zoo. Before that, the idea of sharing information via video was unfathomable unless you were prepared to spend a boatload of money to create it. And let's face it, most of us are not in a position to do that. Today, anyone, anywhere, with a computer or a smartphone can create an account and start creating, and eventually, with a little skill, which you can acquire, perseverance, and a tiny bit of luck, earn a reasonable living. And millions have done just that. Instagram launched in 2010, TikTok in 2016. At the end of 2007, Amazon launched its self-publishing platform, making it possible and affordable for anyone to publish a book without jumping through all the hoops put forth by traditional publishers. All of these outlets provide the platform content creators and, God help us all, influencers earn a decent living if you work at it. And there's more coming. What? I wish I could look into my crystal ball and tell you exactly what is coming, but it's a little murky today and I can't see anything. But I do know this. There will be individuals who will see the emerging platform and realize its potential. Hopefully you and I will be among them. They'll be the early adopters and become a pro at using it and maximizing their income potential. You need to stay alert so that one of those successful early adopters could be you. And we're here to help you with that, as well as get you along your content creation journey. If you want to get started growing your content creation reach and income, click on the link that has appeared on your YouTube screen for our most recent video on sharing content across multiple platforms. Good luck.